What's up, guys? Sensei Solo here, and today we have pizza here to from Flux Games. Worked on Cobra Kai 2 Dojos Rising, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is João, but you can call me Pizza. I was the game designer, the lead game designer on Cobra Kai 2, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So we're just gonna do an interview, and yeah, the last one we did was live, but it was a little messy because of that. So I just thought it'd be better to record this one and be up a little later. So the first question I have here: how long was Cobra Kai 2 in production?
So, from the start, it was probably about a year and 6 or 7 months since we started doing things.
Because I saw a while ago, before anything was out about the game, there were like posts going up about Cobra Kai, and it was like, is this for the existing game? Are they working on something new? But wow, it's a fast development time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for a game that size, you get to see people working on a little bit more than 2 years. So we have like to run to make the game in time.
Yeah. Uh, who's your personal favorite character on the show? Just in the cast, I guess.
Okay, so I really like them all, but I guess my favorite would be Johnny.
Hmm.
The show is pretty much all about him.
Right.
He's the face of the show, and I really enjoy him as a character. His progression from the Karate Kid movies to the TV show, I really enjoy that.
Did you see the show before development, or did you find out through the game about this show?
Yeah, so I started watching the show because of the role, so it was one of my first tasks to watch everything that they had at the time, and we started developing it before season 4 launch. So it
Wow.
was a really long time ago.
Wow. And did you guys have access to season 4, or did you just kind of start going with what you had with the first 3?
Yeah, we started with the first three, but we had access to a little bit of things through development. So we actually had to change things a little bit because of that.
Hmm. Out of the 3 main dojos, which is your favorite one?
Well, y- you know, that is the question that we all ask each other during development, because we used to divide our teams based on the dojos. We
Oh,
had Team
wow.
Cobra Kai and Team Eagle Fang and Team Miyagi-Do, and we all did different stuff. I guess if I had to choose, it would be Cobra Kai. I really enjoy
Hmm.
like evil characters and villains in TV
Fair
shows and
enough.
series. So yeah, I really like them. What is yours, by the way?
Eagle Fang. I have a hoodie somewhere, but I think it's in the wash right now.
Nice.
So what was the most fun part of developing the game?
Well, I have to say definitely the playable characters. It was it was the part of the game that I had most contact with. I started as a regular game designer, then like I was chosen to the lead position, but I started working on playable characters as my main task, my primary goal. Um, so I really enjoy doing that. I had to research a lot how the characters behave in the show, how would they fight, and try to incorporate that into their playable characters. So that is a really fun thing to do for me.
Yeah, it was really cool how every character had their own like unique style, and that had to be a huge undertaking for 28 characters, and then the couple DLC characters as well.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing that, and I would finish that single task, the playable characters, like more than a year later. It was a ton of
Wow.
research. We had to do like different move sets for each character, as you said, different skills, different recruiting criteria for each one of them. So yeah, it was an extensive work to do, but it was really worth it.
I have to say, I one of the like most enjoyable parts of the game. I was I was hysterical laughing when I got to the Yasmin recruit, and she starts questioning Dimitri on their relationship, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's such a creative way to do it, and I thought that was really funny.
yeah, and that is a like a solo interaction. You can only do that if you have Dimitri in your party. If you
Right.
don't, you have to fight her. So yeah, we
Right.
try to do that a little bit. I wish we had more time to do more of that, but I think we fit it in the perfect ones. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoy that.
That was a great surprise. Are there any? I was told one by in the previous interview, but are there any funny stories from development?
Well, I might repeat his story. I'm not sure, but in arcade and mini golf level, there is a arcade machine um with a game called Steven Ball.
Hmm.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Okay, so this is a funny one. There is an arcade game called Steven Ball, and that is
Yeah.
because during development, when we were developing the grab and its attacks, we had this weird little bug that the playable character would bounce the enemy on the ground, just like a basketball. And the only enemy we had at the time was a 3D version of Steven, our
Yeah.
director. So
Huh.
we did like this little Easter egg just for us because most people wouldn't know about that. That is called Steven Ball because we would bounce Steven around. So someone joked about it, like made a little GIF about it, and posted it, and it became a meme inside the company. It was like really cool
God.
seeing that implemented.
That's great. No, the one this goes into the next question, but the one that I was told last time was that the studio apparently went into a little bit of a panic when Sholo Maridueña, the actor for Miguel, posted about the game in his
Yeah.
bathroom after taking a shit, and
Yeah.
that was the first time we knew anything about the game. And when I
Yes.
saw that post, I went, "He wasn't supposed to do that." I
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He wasn't. But he did, you know?
yeah,
Well, if it was up to me, I feel like the game would be teased more than that.
yeah,
We would like surf on that hype, what he did, and try to
yeah,
capitalize on it. But we didn't. We should have embraced it, and we didn't. At the time we were just like a little bit scared because we
yeah.
thought we would have to rush things out more because of the leak, and that would make things a little harder than it was. But I'm glad it didn't happen.
I saw especially out of any of the cast, Martin Cove, the actor for Crease, he really pushed the game more than any other
Yeah,
cast member, and
yeah,
it was pretty cool to see. Like he was into it.
absolutely. During recording, I heard our directors and the audio team say a lot about it. He was like super hyped during the
That
recordings, and that was really cool seeing. I didn't expect that from him. I would
yeah,
expect it from like a younger kid that is into video
yeah.
games, but that was really surprising and really cool to see.
I think that's especially just because from what I've seen from everything with Martin Cove, he loves playing the character, and any opportunity to play the character, he's like, I'm gonna go for it, and
Yeah, yeah, that is really cool. I mean, I really enjoyed knowing that as well.
yeah. Did you get to interact with any of the cast? Like,
Yeah, I did not. Unfortunately, only the directors and the audio team had contact with them. But as I said, from what I've heard and from what they told us, everyone was like extremely talented and they got in character super quickly and blasted through the lines, even though we had like ton of text to read. So
y-
it was really cool.
yeah, it was wild to me. One of the most impressive things about the game is how much of the cast you guys really got. It
Yeah.
like it was to the point I told Juan Patrick this that me and my friend were joking about you guys getting Thomas Ian Griffith for the game. And then he's just in the credits, like when you get to the silver boss battle, I'm like, oh wait, no, they did.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first game got enough attention for us to get more people involved in the second game. So it was one of our goals to get their voices in, because we know
Yeah,
how much impact that would make in the game. And I'm glad we did because it completely changes up the game.
yeah. It was definitely one of the coolest things, and there were all these like, I noticed it when I had Miguel and Robbie in the same dojo. There were like mini interactions with those two specifically, and I'm like, that's such a cool little detail to have. There's so many things like that, and that
Yeah,
was
the team worked really hard for it. And I'm glad you guys notice and enjoy that as well because I mean it is really nice seeing people enjoy things you do, especially in games.
so. This is just a bit of a random question here. Why are Mitch and Chris's dojos swapped?
Well, as I said, um, I know the game launched after season 5, but we started working on it before season 4 was released. So I think we must have judged poorly the characters,
Hmm.
and it never got back to make the change. Once the season 4 and 5 were out. So yeah, there was definitely an oversight on that on
You
our part,
just you
and
just kind of
you're
took a
right.
guess that that was
Y-
gonna happen, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that would have been
So yeah, we
interesting.
we had time to change that, but it was completely an oversight. You are correct. It should be the opposite.
I noticed it so there, if people watching don't know, there was a patch that went out maybe a week ago, and it actually made a lot of good changes from what I've seen. I have to check out the story mode again, but in the other modes it seemed to make a lot of changes. And one thing I noticed is that the all valley mode's randomized now, which is very nice. And
Yeah,
I noticed Mitch and a Miyagi Dogi. That was the first thing I saw, and I was like, "Oh, it randomizes the dojos too." But then I realized, wait, no, it's just like that.
yeah, yeah. It is just wrong. There's no easy way to saying that, but yeah, we we oversight that
Happens.
for sure.
How did you guys decide on what characters to be playable in the game?
Well, we've actually changed the roster a little bit, like a ton, to be honest. At first, it was supposed to be 36 playable characters, if I'm not mistaken, but we
Hmm.
have to trim it down a little bit in order to squeeze everyone in. And the decision was pretty much based on two criteria: the relevance of the character to the TV show, and how much we like the character. So some characters were left out because we were like taking guesses, like, no, this character will show up again and he will be relevant, or someone in really enjoyed that character. And yeah, I mean, those
Hmm.
were the two main aspects, but we had like a little bit more characters playing and we had to trim it down a little bit.
Interesting. Um, what was your favorite part of the game itself? Just
Well, hard for me to answer that because I have a lot of bias. I
yeah.
made the game, I enjoy it all. Looking back, I would change a lot, but yeah, I really enjoy what we made. To be honest, I really enjoyed the boss fights. I think they are a great way to break monotony, because on story mode, which was I was really more involved in all volley tournament at all. Um, you fight a bunch of little weak guys on the way
Yeah.
to the boss, and at the end you face like this really challenging guy. You have to adapt to his strategies, and he has multiple stages, and he has different attacks than like normal characters have. And I really enjoy how that like would break the monotony and bring in a real challenge at the end.
Yeah.
What is yours, by the way?
I really I liked a lot of things with the story, but I also liked the All Valley mode. I found that really fun, and yeah, the latest update kind of made that a lot better, and I was like, oh wow, I was very happy with that.
Yeah.
You said that your main task at first, especially, was making characters. Which character would you say was the most fun to make?
Well, that would be Hawk. I started with the starter six, so Tori, Chris, Miguel, Johnny, Sam, and Daniel.
Yeah,
Those were the first six that I've done. But when I started working on them, I already had the skills for Hawk planned. I knew what I would like to do, you know? I knew what I like to bring back from the first game, what I would like to introduce as a new skill, and I really enjoy Hawk as a character as well. To make him in the game and make him have such amazing and cool looking skills, it was really a blast to make. I really enjoy that.
yeah. I assumed that like the main casts were a lot more fun to make, and then when it was like side characters, it was a little harder to come up with things. But
Well, not exactly, you know. We have a little bit more freedom to work on these
that's
side characters because they don't have like as much content as main characters, you know. So we have freedom to create things that people wouldn't expect, you know.
yeah.
Like if I'm not mistaken, and I might be wrong about it, I think it is Bert that had a hamster, right?
Yes.
So we got to incorporate that into his character, like in a skill, and that is so cool. I mean, we can't
Yeah.
do that with Miguel. You know, he's a main
Yeah.
character. He needs to be a little bit more serious. But with these side characters, we can make some fun. You know, and that is really nice.
If this one wasn't made by Flux, but there was a mobile game of
Yeah,
Cobra Kai, and I spoke to someone involved with that a lot, and he told me that they got requests for Stingray. They
really.
got so many requests for Stingray that something must have got miscommunicated because when the game launched, this mobile game launched with Stingray as an available character. No Johnny, no Daniel.
Damn.
They came later, and I just I wonder if that was also an internal thing that they wanted to do something a little more fun, and it's like we'll get back to them.
Yeah. Well, they got involved like really deeply with Stingray, you know?
Yeah,
If that was fun, maybe there was a fair trade. I don't know.
it was definitely an interesting thing with that. Out of the 5 seasons of the show, which one was your favorite?
I would have to say season 4. I really enjoy how things played out. I really enjoy bringing Silver back at the ending, teasing Chosen, the El Valley tournament, all the fights that there were on season 4. Um, Johnny and Daniel fighting on the dojo, they getting
Yeah,
together, then they splitting again. I mean, it was a really, really fun series, season to watch. I really enjoyed season 1 as well, the introduction of it all.
yeah,
But yeah, I think season 4 was a climax for me.
yeah.
How about
Well,
you, by the way?
I really liked season 5 and season 4. I think those two were my favorites. I liked season 5 because my favorite character is Dimitri, and I like that he finally got to he kicked Kyler's ass a little bit. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that was a good moment.
Nice. Are you excited for season 6?
Yeah, still waiting on official confirmation on that from Netflix, but we'll
Yeah.
see what
I
happens.
mean, you can expect that, you know?
Yeah,
There's a pretty big hook at the end of season 5. You would
yeah,
expect to be a season 6.
yeah. What was the hardest part of development?
Well, in a macro way, it was trying to fit the game vision in its original design within the time frame we had. I don't know if that sounds hard for you or for people listening, but it is a really hard task to do. We had to take like really hard decisions throughout developing, you know? Sometimes we have two amazing features that would really make the game shine in different ways, and we have to make a choice. Like, which one do we drop, because we won't have time to develop both to a final stage for them to be really good. So we have to pretty much take guesses and vote within each other, like what would people think would be the best way to a final product? What would think that would make the game engaging and fun for the customer, the player? And that is a really hard task to do. On the technical aspect, I would say definitely the AI.
Mm.
It is a huge challenge. Making an AI that mimics like human behavior, um, dealing with behavior trees are a pain in the ass. It is a really hard thing to do. Um, and I really, well, if I'm being honest, I like for us to have someone specialized in that dealing with AI, because it would completely change the game. We had like a few iterations on the AI that would make bosses and normal characters play differently and act differently. And the final one is the one we like the most. And I still think there's much more to improve. Looking back, it is easy to look back today, but yeah, it is a really hard technical thing to do.
Yeah, that the AI was pretty good in the game though. There were a few times I thought like I'd hit someone like somewhere that they maybe shouldn't be. I'm like, that's gonna be a problem. But then they actually kind of found their way out a few times. I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is the AI is pretty smart as far as we could have achieved. There are a few bugs here and there, as you may know.
Yeah,
They sometimes freeze behind walls, but that is not an AI thing. That is much more of a some other technical aspect, like getting stuck behind a hitbox and couldn't getting out of it. Um, but overall, I'm okay with the AI we got at the end. I would improve it a lot today, but at the time it was the best we could have done, and I'm glad we done that.
yeah. How did the game evolve and change during the course of development?
Oh wow. um, it changed a lot. Okay, if I'm being honest, like a year, almost 2 years ago, if we decided to go with that vision and that design, we would need probably 2.5 years to make the
Wow.
the entire game. Yeah, it was really ambitious for the team we had and the time frame we had to develop. So I can't go over specifics because everything that is not in the game, I
Right.
can go over about it. But yeah, some features were completely redesigned, and some of them were scrapped out completely as well. There was supposed to be another like big mechanic in the game that was removed. Um, we think it wouldn't make sense to the game we were trying to make, you know. Um, and with that, we kind of embraced things that were shouting within the game. We double down on combat. We double down on our recruitment. We double down on the level itself, on the quality of things, and not necessarily on quantity. So yeah, it changed a lot. We started with a pretty small level, a demo beach level that we're trying to replicate um, different scenarios. Like it was a rainy city and a beach on sunset. There was a forest. So we were trying to see what we were capable of doing, and from them we like scrapped that thing and started from scratch again. But we were much more focused on what we needed to do.
Uh, yeah, obviously you can't talk too much about what wasn't in the game and was like, oh, this was at one point, but there was there was something I noticed in the trailer. They showed a little graphic of Sam with the Eagle Fang logo behind her. Was it ever like Miguel, Sam, and Tori ever supposed to be able to swap, or were they always locked to their?
Yeah, I guess that was it wasn't supposed to people to interpret it that because it was never supposed to them change
Oh,
dojos. They were fixed from the start. We know that we knew from the start the initial six and which dojos they would be part of, and we knew everyone else would be recruited by pretty much any dojo. So yeah, I think there was
that,
like
yeah,
video editing was
yeah,
like teasing something wrong.
yeah. Uh, yeah. It's it's a fun game. There's been some. I found a few interesting glitches. The most fun one I found was that I somehow got out of the school during the school fight. That that was amusing to me, but I actually tried on the patch. I tried to get back out there. I couldn't get back out.
Oh, that's good.
So I think they fixed that one. I
I'm glad. Yeah.
yeah, I was trying to do the it was a little jump attack with Sam that would get her through the wall and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't work anymore." So, they found that one.
Yeah, we had like through development the QA team grew a lot. We started with only one QA and we evolved into having like a whole separate team somewhere else taking care of QA. So that helped a ton for us solving bugs and dealing with these little glitches.
Yeah. Have you really gotten to like play the game in its like final state and
Yeah. All of us got like a digital copy of it. So, and I think I probably would be someone that really played the game a lot. Since I was doing playable characters, I would have to test
right?
them, like in real stages versus common enemies. So I can say I played the game a ton during development and a ton more after releasing it. I gave it away to some people from my family, and they really enjoyed it. I saw them playing the game, so
That's
it was
really
really
cool.
fun. Yeah, I mean, it is a great feeling. You know, it's the first time
Yeah.
that I could share something that I've done this big, and they knew the characters, they knew the TV show, they
Yeah.
knew the series, and they were like playing. Oh, I know this guy. I know this guy. I know that this happened in the TV show, and I was like, yeah, we try to bring that to the game as well, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, there's so many moments in the game that I was really impressed how close to the TV show. One level especially, the school it's mapped out pretty well from the show, and that was really impressive. And yeah, it's a huge step forward from the first game, and it's really cool that you guys got to do it again, make a bigger game, and
Yeah,
yeah, uh,
yeah. Changing the perspective from the first game to the second one really gave us like a freedom to work in the 3D environment much more, you know. And I think one and half of the one is the 3D lead, as you spoke the last time, and half is the
right.
lead level designer. They did an amazing job with the levels. I guess it's the beauty and the quality and how similar it is to the TV show is actually amazing. I really enjoyed their work. It was pretty nice.
I know you said that when you were developing the game, Hawk was your favorite to make, but who's your favorite to
Yes.
play as? Is it still Hawk or
Yeah, I'm not of a I'm not the kind of a heavy hitter guy. I like fast characters. So Hawk is a pretty fun character to play. I guess his combos are really fast. Kyler is one that I like a lot as well. Even though I don't like his character in the show, I really like playing as him. Um, Bert and Nate are two fast characters that I really enjoy as well. Devon has some pretty pretty cool skills as well. I really enjoy playing it with her. Yeah, I guess it probably would be either Hulk or Kyler. I really enjoy
Hmm.
both.
I
How
know
about
that
you?
I noticed Dimitri's moveset. It can push people back, and I
Yeah.
also love I'm gonna just shout out my friend who I play this with all the time. My friend Colin loves getting annoyed by Dimitri's magic shield in tournament mode because if you like if he was just firing attacks on it the first time. He didn't know what it was supposed to do, and then when it blew up, oh, that was a fun move. I really liked that one.
Yeah, yeah. It was like one of the last moves that we made, last
Oh wow.
skills that we made. Yeah, because we had to like add some things that the system did not have at the time, like shooting and exploding damage. The system did not have that. So Dimitri was actually one of the last that we finished the whole package of the character, you know? And I'm glad we did. It was such a blast to use his skill. It is
Yeah.
different from the rest, and we open up so much room for different gameplay with that, you know?
It's really cool also that the characters aren't locked into their skills in story mode. You kind of unlock them and you could mix and match them and
Yeah.
you could see some really funny things happen. Like I've had I think at one point I had uh Dungeon Lord on Robbie and that was funny to see. I think my game, I don't know if this was a glitch or if it just I set it to this, but I know Johnny had the two-legged kick and I was like, "Oh my god, that's funny."
Yeah. I mean, you
There's
can change it all, you know?
yeah,
Go ahead.
that's
We tested a lot during development as well because some of the skills you can use midair, like while jumping,
yeah.
and we would try to break the game by combining two skills when using the Eagle Fang special move. So skills don't cost
Mm.
anything, and you could like fly away and break the game completely. We did that a bunch of times, but we actually managed to add a little bit of cooldown to those skills, so you wouldn't like line up them perfectly to get off bounds. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was really fun dealing with that and changing skills and like setting up your character as you like. It was really cool.
It was also just it was really cool to have like the dojo environments and you'd see all the fighters in there and you'd have staff also that it was really cool. Like I remember leading up to the game only a few days before Game Mill released a graphic of a while before they showed off all 28 playable characters, but then they showed a graphic where it's like if you play this level you could unlock Anthony and we're like, "What? You are
Yeah.
playable?" And then when we finally got the game, it was like, oh, staff. But yeah, the staff were really interesting. It was a cool mechanic and a great way to bring in more characters, even if they weren't playable.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the objectives trying to bring everyone that um, was relevant to this TV show somehow to the game. And staff is a way that is easier than it being a playable character. So we wouldn't invest in move sets or skills. We would just position them and make them say things in the dojo. So yeah, it is a cheaper way of bringing those characters in and not leaving anyone behind.
Right. So the ending of the game is you get to pick one of the other dojos, and there's all different endings. But one thing there was in the first game, it was you'd play uh Daniel's side or you'd play Johnny's side, and then at the end they would come together and against Kreese in the first one. In the
Yeah.
second one, unless I just haven't found anything, there was no ending where all three come together against Silver. Was that ever a thing, or is it always like you're going with one or the other?
Yeah, we actually talked a lot about that. We would like to have three dojos come together at the end, but it was one of the last things we finished as well, and we almost had no time
Right,
to make everything that was there to be ready, you know. So once we got to the final part of development, we knew we had to trim it down a little bit to make it fit, you know, as I said. Um, so yeah, we actually had plans once to make the ending completely different. Um, but yeah, we had to make it like a simplified version because it was the only thing that would fit to the
Mhm.
time we had it.
It was still really cool to get to see like, oh, what would happen if it was Daniel and Kreese teaming up? What would happen if it? And it was things that like would never happen in the show, and I
Yeah,
think that's where this game shines is that you can do things that you never really would see in the show. Like I don't think you'd ever really see Dimitri walking into Cobra Kai in the show, but
yeah,
it really lets you. There's a lot of freedom with that. You could basically have almost anyone in any dojo,
yeah,
and it's really cool. And that has to be one of the best parts of the game.
yeah. I was going to say that that is true for pretty much any character. You can make Kyler a Miyagi Do, you know, he never left Cobra Kai, you know.
Yeah,
So it would be that is really cool thing to do, you know. And bringing in characters that didn't show up for a long time, you know. Xander showed up for a little bit, and I guess it was season 2, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can play as him and bring him to any of the dojos, you know. That is really fun. I really enjoy doing that as well.
yeah. It's definitely awesome. The roster of characters is really great. There's really a lot of character. I mean, from the first game, which was 8 total, to 28, and then you get a
Yeah.
couple more with the DLC. It was really crazy. I noticed also in the DLC, one of the DLC characters is from season 5, the guy in the prison with Kreese. That
Yes.
had to be made pretty last minute.
Yes, it was. I, the DLC was, I guess it started when we were finishing the end game for story mode. So if the story mode was pretty much the last thing we did, the DLC was like later than that, you know. So
Yeah,
we had to rush. Some of the characters, as you may seem, already were in the game, so they weren't done from scratch. We got them from story mode, their character model, and the lines and the skills, and we just adapted it to being
right.
playable characters. And some of them we just had to create from scratch because they didn't exist as a playable character. They didn't have different like outfits and all. So yeah, it was like something that came in pretty late, but I'm glad we managed to make him in the game.
Yeah, that was really unexpected, especially since like everyone when the roster first got revealed was like, "Where's Silver? Where's all these characters?" And then when the DLC came out and there was someone from season 5 there, it's like, "Whoa, had they?"
Yeah, as I said, we started developing it before season 4. So when season 5 came out, we were like, oh no, we have to brush this character and make him like we have to make him in the game. We can't just leave him out, you know? He's a big part of season 5 and seasons going forward, you know? If you say they release a season 6, which I,
Yeah.
I probably think they will. So yeah, we can't left him out, you know? So we had to rush him a little bit, but yeah, we did it.
So, just out of curiosity, just besides this game that you work on, what kind of games do you happen to like?
Well, lately I've been playing a lot of Marvel Snap. I don't know
Hmm.
if you heard of it. It is a mobile game. Just
Yeah.
won the best mobile game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It got me addicted like this pretty fast. And I'm a big WoW guy as well. I play a lot. It's been 12 years that I play WoW. And yeah, I try to bring in a lot of the things that I learn from boss fights, from characters to the Cobra Kai, you know, to the fights itself and for
Oh
the
yeah.
characters itself. Um, and I'm glad with the result. I think we did the best we could.
Yeah, it's so impressive for a small team, and I will say people are very quick to expect. I've seen this with so many games. Expect like EA quality out of a studio a fraction of the size. It's like
Yeah,
that's it's unrealistic to expect that. Like, if you've seen the latest Five Nights at Freddy's game, they kind of got in a similar situation, very small studio, and they made a really big, ambitious game. There were bugs when it first came out. It's like everyone got mad. It's like, well, this happens.
Yeah, I mean, I can say I'm surprised with that because when you have companies the size of EA and I know Blizzard, Riot, they make huge games because they had a lot of people involved.
Yeah,
Um, we had, as I said, a year and 6 or 7 months. We peaked at 60 people working on the game, while these companies have like 500, 1,000. Way
yeah,
bigger than us. And the team also like they had they have much more senior seniors working on the game than we had, and that also makes a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, we will always be compared with these big games, and we
yeah,
can't avoid that. We would be compared with other combat games that came out in like next to our launch, um, and we will always be compared to big and to other small games. That is just what it is. We can avoid that or ask people to not do that. But yeah, we like to compare ourselves to studios our size because it is a much more fair comparison to make.
yeah. I I really there's despite like the bugs and stuff, I think it's a really fun time. The game is on sale right now on Steam, I think, and I'm sure other
Yeah,
platforms. And yeah, I believe the game is like 20 US dollars right now.
yeah, I
I
believe it is.
I'd say that's pretty worth it for a pretty good story mode, and just if you like the show, I think you'd like the game. It's really, you can tell that there's a lot of love for the series in the development team just by the smallest details of it, and that's something that's just really really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. It was clearly our main objective to make a game for the fans of the show. It was a tribute to them because we know that people that like the TV show would probably like the game. So we gone a little farther, to really please the public. So I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Definitely one of the most fun games I've played. It's a really good time for fans of the show. It's out of the, I guess, three games out there, the other one from Flux and the mobile game, I definitely say it's the most ambitious by far. It and has the largest roster, and it's it's in a it's definitely really 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 fun, and I think that's a great thing that a lot of times there's games that come out now that are like, yeah, that's a great story, that's great graphics, but the gameplay isn't actually fun. It's like a great movie or something, but this game has really fun gameplay. It's such a huge step forward from the first game, and it's really impressive what you guys got done there.
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. I really appreciate um the words and the feeling. It is heartwarming to hear that from pretty much who we were making the game to. You, the guy that likes the TV show, that likes the first game. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Thanks.
Of course. Just you personally, not talking for anyone. Is there any other like TV shows or movies or brands out there that's like, I'd want to make a game with that?
Well, there are a bunch of them. um, on the top of my head, that would. I mean, I really enjoyed The Office, but I don't think that would make a
It's a
fun
great
game.
show.
Maybe it would. I don't know. I mean, we could do like something a click adventure. with
Yeah.
different stories and different backgrounds or different endings for each character. Um, that would be cool. Um, on the action side, um, I think The Walking Dead would be like a pretty great TV show
Yeah.
to make a game, like dealing with like zombies and walkers
Yeah.
and that. Game of Thrones would be an amazing TV show to make a game out of. Um, yeah, I guess on the top of my head, those would be the ones that would be really fun to make a game.
Yeah. It that those do seem like they translate pretty well. I think they might have made a like a little mini mobile game or something from The Office. I'm not 100% sure, but
Really, I have to check that.
uh, yeah, it's called The Office. Somehow we manage.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
Maybe it is fun.
yeah.
Never heard of it.
I vaguely heard of it at one point, but yeah, it's very cool you got to work with such a huge Netflix show and you got to make something really faithful to the show and it's awesome. Yeah, if there's anything that just like you personally want to shout out, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd like to shout out to everyone at Flux Games. Thanks, guys, for the opportunity to working with you all. Um, thanks for everyone that allowed Cobra Kai 2 to be completed. Um, thanks for everyone who played, even enjoying or not the game. I'm glad that you played the game and tried it out. And yeah, thank you for calling me for this call. It was
Absolutely.
really enjoyable.
Absolutely has been. Make sure, yeah, any other Flux people watching, you guys did a great job and yeah, it's great. It's a great time. And yeah, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, man.
All right.